I want to welcome each and every one of you back to another episode of the Room to Breathe podcast. And y'all, if you don't already know, it's Toxic Tuesday. This is our chance to dive into the messy stuff that life throws our way and flip the script to find the message hidden within the mess and the chaos. I'm your host, Life Coach 614, and I'm thrilled to have each and every one of you here with us today. Whether you are here seeking a little mess in the middle of your day, or you just need a fresh perspective, little escape from the daily grind, you've come to the right place. Now, before we jump into today's episode, just a quick reminder. If you're feeling the vibes, don't forget to tap the screen to like, comment, and share. Thank you. Your support really means the world to us, and it helps us to reach more amazing souls like you. And speaking of good vibes, don't forget to check out our website at theselfcareclub.org. We've got some dope affirmative apparel and other motivational merch, as well as a bunch of free resources designed to help empower you on your journey. No matter what mess life throws your way, please remember that you are not alone. We're all in this together, lifting each other up and navigating through the ups and downs together, right? As a community. So let's gear up to breathe, reflect, and grow, no matter how messy things get. It is time for us to prioritize our well-being and find a little peace in this chaotic world. Y'all ready? Let's dive in.
They try to bring me down, but watch me now, I'm flipping it around. Flip the script, I'm choosing me, prioritizing my mental clarity. No more drama, no more wait. I'm taking care of me, it's never too late. Flip the script, I'm feeling free. Boundaries up, now I can breathe. I'm reclaiming all my health. I'm flipping the script and healing in myself.
Our toxic topic for today is from shame to support. We're going to talk about transforming the cancel culture. And I know y'all know what that is, but in case you don't, right? In case you are lucky enough to have avoided the cancel culture, let's talk about what it is and where it actually came from, right? So the idea of canceling someone really started in probably like the early 2010s, right? Primarily from Twitter. Y'all remember that little app, right? So it was kind of a way for people to express their disapproval or to withdraw their support from a public figure who may have said or did something offensive, right? And so in its early stages, it actually had some positive outcomes, bringing attention to serious issues that may have otherwise, just been swept under the rug. Issues like harassment or discrimination, right? In fact, the idea of holding people accountable resonated with a lot of people who felt like they didn't have a voice in these conversations. People who had previously found themselves on the victim end of things, right? But now in 2024, we've seen this cancel culture expand. Congratulations, guys. We've seen this culture expand and intensify beyond, public accountability into, a much more complex phenomenon, right? And now it affects not only these celebrities, but us regular people too. And suddenly a single post or one mistake or even an old viewpoint that no longer represents, who someone is today, that can lead to backlash that, then follows you indefinitely. And that kind of unforgiving climate has definitely raised some questions about the toll that it takes on our mental health. So let's talk about that, right? Studies and personal stories have told us that the cancel culture can lead to stress, anxiety, and even depression behind a person being canceled, right? and those who participate. So it's not just the person who is canceled, but it's the people doing the canceling, right? When someone gets canceled, there's this intense scrutiny, a sort of a public shaming that happens instantly. And the impact of that shame can be severe. You know, for someone who's on the receiving end, all of a sudden this person now feels rejected or isolated by their community, a community that once loved them, right? And, you know, it could extend further than a particular community. I mean, it can be their entire audience, right? And that makes it difficult to move forward. And if you don't feel that you can move forward, how do you feel that you can actually heal? Right? How do we heal in this situation? And so, you know, it creates a kind of scarlet letter effect, right? Where the shame is visible, it's inescapable, and it's long lasting. People often find it hard to forgive themselves when they're constantly reminded by the public that they made a mistake and that their mistakes aren't going away. You know, so when I think about, you know, recent celebrities that have been in the news, right? These celebrities that I'm going to list off, they have faced cancel culture along, you know, with the crime that they allegedly have committed, right? Or the crimes that they're being accused of. But I don't want to just focus on the issue itself. I want to go deeper than the issue and begin to, you know, kind of put a positive spin or maybe highlight a little more about, you know, each situation and show you guys and prove to you guys that there's always room to grow, that this affects us on such a deeper level, right? So let's start with Kanye, right? Everybody know Ye. We love Ye, right? So despite his controversial statements leading to major fallout and loss of partnerships, I mean, that man lost some deals, y'all, right? Kanye's situation serves as a reminder of the importance of accountability and reflection. You know, the incident surrounding Ye has sparked discussions around our mental health, particularly regarding how public scrutiny can sometimes affect one's well-being. So when we look at his situation, you know, that's our call to action, that it's important for us to begin engaging in therapy or open dialogues about mental health. That way it'll help individuals start to navigate the pressures of fame, right? Or what if we talk about Chris Brown, right? The moment someone brings up Chris Brown, we immediately think about, you know, the issues that he faced surround him and Rihanna's relationship. A relationship or a situation that many of us know all too well. But while facing the backlash for his past and, you know, some of his recent comments, right? Chris Brown's experience illustrates the necessity of personal growth. And so, you know, the dialogue surrounding his actions has encouraged many of us to begin to address issues of forgiveness, right? Because yes, you know, when we think specifically of Chris and Rihanna, did he do some things that were just downright despicable? Absolutely. Does that mean he does not deserve forgiveness? Now, I'm not saying that Rihanna has to give him a second chance. But again, he's a man. And I don't mean male, female. I'm talking about he is a human being. Therefore, all of us deserve a second chance, do we not? Like, imagine if God canceled us because we made a mistake. And if we're believers and we have this mentality that only God can judge us, how dare we cancel a human being for being exactly what we are, human. Someone who can make a mistake, right? So again, I think we need to begin to open our hearts a little bit more to people who commit these crimes. Even the darkest of crimes. This person needs some sort of rehabilitation. This person needs some sort of help, some sort of therapy. Because again, I think we all deserve forgiveness and we all deserve healing, whether that be in relationships or, whatever the situation may be. And so, Chris Brown's situation just kind of underscores the importance of mental health support, especially for those in the public eye. And, when you see them attempting to do better, trying to grow, trying to learn from their mistakes, who are we to say a person cannot change? Right? It doesn't appear that he is repeating a pattern of bad behavior. He made a mistake. So he deserves to learn and grow. Just like his victim deserves to heal and grow. Let's talk about Janelle Monáe. Recently, Monet's experiences with criticism have prompted conversations about self-acceptance and the journey of understanding one's identity. And so the situation surrounding her can encourage listeners and fans to embrace their authentic selves. A lot of times we show up being what we think that other people want us to be, or we try to appear the way that other people want us to appear, right? But in reality, we all need to show up authentically who we are, loving ourselves, flaws and all. And so the situation with Janelle can encourage us to embrace ourselves and to seek mental wellness through self-expression. Right? Expressing ourselves for who we are, being creative. And I think that is something that Janelle Monáe embodies in her work. Another one, Lil Nas X, right? Y'all, his confrontations with the cancel culture, particularly regarding, the LGBTQ plus representation, right? That to me has highlighted the need for resilience and self-advocacy. By us beginning to openly discuss our mental health and struggles with living authentically, right? And so Lil Nas X serves as a role model for many people, showing how to navigate, public scrutiny while still prioritizing your well-being. Another person that I think of, I'm gonna give y'all just a couple more examples before we reel it back in, y'all. Tyler Perry. Y'all know Tyler Perry, right? We love Tyler Perry shows or we hate them. It's one or the other, right? You either love him or you don't. So every time I think of Tyler Perry, I think that there's this expectation that this one man is supposed to represent an entire culture. And so that's why you have people who either love it or they don't, right? Because we have put this weight on this man to do it for the culture. And he out here doing his best to do it for the culture. But some people say that he's shining a negative light on the black community. Other people saying he ain't doing it right for the black community. But anything that a black man does in the community, does it not represent the community? Right? If he's shining a spotlight on abuse and, all of these negative things, aren't those things that we are actually experiencing in the community? Right? So, no, the script may not have been written in the manner that you would have, but does it still bring awareness to an issue? And if that's the case, how can that be wrong? So when I think about, Tyler Perry's discussions pertaining to, let's say, gender roles, right? Because that has recently sparked some conversations around accountability or representation in the media. And so this reflects a broader understanding of how storytelling can address our mental health issues, and it can begin to promote healing within the community. Drake is another one. Drake, is experiencing criticism because of his lyrical content and his public persona. Drake often uses these experiences to reflect on his personal growth. And so Drake is an artist whose music allows for a therapeutic outlet, encouraging listeners to engage in their emotions and almost pushing for a more crucial look on our mental health. So, I mean, again, all of these examples just illustrate that while cancel culture can lead to difficult situations for celebrities, we have to understand that it also opens up spaces for dialogue and accountability, personal growth, and it really plays a vital role in our mental health support in navigating this, as a community, right, in the public. And so each one of these situations, just really emphasizes a need for compassion and understanding with all of our interactions with each other. And that's both online and offline. Thank you guys. Welcome in. It's not just about the people who are being canceled. Okay? It is the people who are actively engaging in canceling. Right? Because we also end up feeling drained. And we experience what's known as compassion fatigue. Okay? So constantly calling people out or diving into heated arguments or feeling like you have to be the one to hold them responsible, right? All of this takes a toll on our well-being. It's like we've taken on the role of judge and jury. And over time, if we continue to do this, what happens is that builds resentment and stress into our life. It adds more and more stress into our life, right? Now, there's something powerful to be said for accountability, right? Accountability is something that I require for anyone in my life. You must be accountable for your actions, because I'm a person who's very self-aware, right? So I am always open and willing to hold myself accountable. Thank you, love. And so we should all be aware of the harm that we cause with our words and actions. But there's a difference between being accountable and canceling someone entirely. Accountability should come with the possibility of learning, the chance for growth, and the opportunity for forgiveness. And so when we think of cancel culture, though it often doesn't leave room for growth, right? Cancel culture is more like the permanent way out. It's kind of like we say, you've messed up, so you're out, end of story, you're done, right? You're done. And so with accountability, we deal more with, okay, accepting this is what I've done, right? It's bigger than, it's kind of bigger than you, because you have to step outside of yourself and recognize, hey, my actions either directly or indirectly may have offended someone, right? And so, when we think of accountability, the word itself just simply refers to the obligation or willingness to accept responsibility for one's own actions. So your actions, your decisions, and their outcomes. So for a person to be more accountable, it means that you have to be willing to hold yourself answerable, right? To not only yourself, but to others. Which, that's how we build trust, transparency, and it makes us more reliable, more dependable, if that makes sense. So when we think about accountability, it is not someone else holding you accountable. It is you choosing to hold yourself accountable. You saying, okay, you know what? I made a comment yesterday, and although I didn't intend for that comment to be offensive, I recognize that there are people who are offended. And so because I'm going to hold myself accountable, I am going to say, you know what? I apologize that the comment that I made offended you. I'm not going to make an excuse for what I said. So I'm not going to say, because I didn't mean for it to offend you, I'm just going to simply say, I apologize that the comment that I made offended you. I know that it wasn't my intent, but they're still hurt. So I'm going to hold myself accountable to say, you know what? I did that. I did say that. And I didn't see that perspective of how that could offend someone until after I had done it. I can't take it back, but I can learn the lesson and not do it again. I can understand that there may be some sort of punishment that comes along with it. Some people might not rock with me no more. I might lose some follows. That obviously wasn't my plan, but it's the reality of it. But I'm also going to show myself some grace, and I'm going to forgive myself as well, because I am human, right? And part of the human experience is to make a few mistakes here and there. So again, y'all, you know, it's not the cancel culture version of saying you made a mistake. That's the end of it. You're out. You're done, right? We don't need that sort of environment. And because that's not an environment where anyone can thrive, right? So in discussing, you know, the cancel culture, I want to talk about how we flip the script on the cancel culture, right? Because yes, it does shine a light on issues that we need to talk about, things that we have trapped in the house for far too long. So I want to shine a light. But in order for us to do that, we have to make sure that we are reframing what the cancel culture is. We need to make sure that we are fostering space for understanding, for growth, for healing, and for accountability rather than division. Okay? And so I've got a few tips for us on ways that we can flip the script on this cancel culture. So that way it can get back to actually serving us rather than hurting us and trapping us or excluding us altogether. So let's go from punishment to growth. Smarty Marty, welcome in. Welcome in, everyone. Let's go from punishment to growth. Instead of seeing, you know, the cancel culture solely as, you know, a punitive measure, we can view it as an opportunity for learning and growth. Okay? So when an individual is facing backlash, that can prompt a reflection or a dialogue about their actions, leading to personal development and more profound social awareness, right? Let's raise attention. Let's bring awareness to what's happening. You know, for instance, many celebrities have used their controversies as a springboard for them to then engage in meaningful conversations about mental health or societal issues, showing that even a negative experience can lead to a positive outcome, right? So let's go from punishing them to how do we grow from it? Yes, he did that. She did that. She said that. But now how do we get past this moment? How do we stop being trapped in this hurt place and begin to heal, right? So again, our first, tip is to grow. I always say this, we have to grow through the things we're going through. And not everything we go through is pretty, y'all. Okay? So we have to begin to grow with the flow. My second tip talks about community healing. Rather than merely calling someone out to be canceled, we need to shift, the focus to healing within the community. Let's not isolate the person. Let's not shun them and kick them out, right? This is the moment where we really need to truly bring a person in and get to the root of it. It means we have to start creating spaces for discussion. That way grievances can start to be aired. We need to talk about it. And, that way there's an understanding that can be reached. It's about addressing the harm that is done while also encouraging empathy for all those who are involved. That includes the victim. For example, initiatives promoting restorative justice to allow accountability without alienation helps us to then foster a culture of healing rather than a space for hostility. Great? And let's talk about number 3, empathy and second chances. I go back to asking the question, what if when we made a mistake, we did not get a second chance? What if there were absolutely no do-overs in life? I don't think many of us would be here today. If we were canceled by the universe for making one mistake, many of us would have never hit a double digit. We've been making mistakes since we got here. So, we live in a world where mistakes are often magnified, right? And so we need to now also start emphasizing empathy and the potential for redemption, right? Because that's something that can truly help us to flip the narrative, change the direction of things. And so, thinking about public figures like Janelle Monáe or Lil Nas X, right? They have faced challenges, but they have also encouraged others to embrace their authentic selves. And these people demonstrate that growth is possible. Growth is possible. And every single one of us deserves a second chance to learn from our mistakes. Now, the key is we need to learn from our mistakes. But if we're never given the opportunity to, when will we ever learn? We're just going to keep going and, repeating this cycle of negativity. So again, we all deserve the opportunity to learn from our mistake. Number 4, let's start celebrating courage. Flipping the script can also mean celebrating those who speak out against cancel culture. This includes artists and activists who advocate for understanding and dialogue over outright rejection. They always say, some people say 2 sides to every story, some say 3, right? It's his story, her story, and then the truth, right? And so we have to begin to understand that we have to have these conversations about it. We have to know the perspective of others. I'm not saying that we have to agree with other people's perspectives. We just have to respect the fact that they have their own perspective, right? And so, it takes courage to address the issues head on and then be an inspiration to engage thoughtfully with, these controversial topics. Everybody wants to talk about the mess, but they don't want to get down into the mess. It's like you want to talk about the shit, but you don't want none of that shit on you, right? And so we have to understand that it does take courage to address these issues head on, because most people just want to chase the drama. They want to chase the mess. They don't want to get down to the root of it. So we need to celebrate the courage and, open up the door for more people to start showing up to have these conversations. Because what that does is it begins to cultivate a space that fosters inclusivity, right? That celebrates authenticity. We begin to create a more compassionate society. And I don't know about y'all, but that's the kind of world I want to live in, right? I want to live in a world where I'm not afraid to make a mistake. I'm not afraid to say the wrong thing because I operate in a community that will forgive me if I say something wrong or if I do something wrong. I don't want to have to prove that, I'm still a good human, even though I may have done something that was frowned upon by others. So I try to cultivate a community where, we operate under a judgment-free zone. Do I agree with everything that everyone in my community does? Absolutely not. I don't. I don't align with some of the things that people do, but I'm not going to cancel them. I'm going to give them the opportunity to continue to thrive and grow. And I'm going to offer whatever resources I have for them, right? And of course, number 5, the last tip that I have for you guys, encouraging dialogue. Y'all, we gotta talk about it. And I know that we grew up in this generation that you don't talk about what happens in your house outside of your house. But baby, listen, the doors are open, honey. The windows are open. Like, we need to start having these conversations, because many of us are hurting because the people before us hurt us and we've never talked about it. We've got so much trauma packed in. And the only time you hear about these celebrities' traumatic lives is when they've gone and done something. And then everybody wants to blame it. Someone wants to blame somebody else because they were abused, neglected, mistreated, right? So now all of a sudden, because all the dark things that this person is doing has come to the light, now y'all finally want to go back and look to see that this person was abused at an early age, and that they've just repeated this cycle of bad behavior. Everything bad done to them, they've now done to someone else. No, we have to start encouraging these conversations, right? We have to move beyond outrage and begin to promote constructive conversations about the complexities of this cancel culture. That's the only way that we're going to get to a place of better understanding. We have to begin encouraging open discussions that allow diverse perspectives, right? Encourage people to share so we can learn from each other, so we can learn from our mistakes, and not just our mistakes, but other people's mistakes. I don't have to go down the road that someone else did. I can see the mistake that they made. And that will help me to grow as an individual, to know, hey, I don't want that in my life. Right? So the only way that I'm going to be able to do that is if I begin engaging in conversation with these people. If I begin to understand their perspective, it doesn't mean I'm going to align with their perspective, but I can hear you out, right? Because that's what paves the way for these nuanced conversations that no one wants to talk about. That is how we grow together as a community. It is how we educate ourselves, and we begin to inform ourselves rather than simply just condemning it, trying to lock it up and hide it and throw it in a closet, because y'all know them skeletons come out the closet. And when they do, they wreak havoc on all of us. So you can keep burying your skeletons if you want to. They will come up. As they say, everything done in the dark comes to the light. So let's talk about it, right? By us reframing the narrative around this cancel culture, we can start to create a more supportive environment. An environment that prioritizes growth, understanding, and compassion. This shift will help us to mitigate the mental impacts of, oh goodness, it'll help us to mitigate this impact to our mental health, right? It'll help when it comes down to like public scrutiny, promoting healing, right? Because don't we all need to heal? Every single one of us has something that we need to heal from. Hey, Cat and Mom. And so, it promotes healing for not only the person canceled, but for those who are seeking accountability. And y'all, just imagine if we reframe cancel culture to be more like a call-in culture. Can you imagine that? Like, instead of us publicly shaming someone or jumping on this bandwagon to tear somebody down, what if we could just engage in a conversation, a dialogue, educate, encourage some self-reflection? That approach lines aligns so much better with our mental well-being, with our self-care, right? I mean, after all, no one's perfect. And expecting perfection just sets us up for a lot of disappointment. You know, we always say expectation leads to disappointment. Gets you nothing but frustration, right? So, here's the takeaway for today's Toxic Tuesday. Let's recognize that cancel culture might not be serving us or our mental health in the way that we hoped it would. Holding each other accountable can be a beautiful thing if we approach it with empathy, understanding, and the idea that people are capable of change. When we start to shift our focus on growth rather than punishment, we're not only helping other people, but we're also freeing ourselves from carrying the weight of judgment and negativity. So let's flip the script on this cancel culture. And as we wrap up today's podcast, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for being here today. If you've enjoyed our time together, be sure to hit that follow button and subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on any of our content. Let's keep this conversation going and remember that sometimes the most powerful thing that we can do for our mental health and the mental health of others is to simply pause before we press cancel. We all need room to breathe, to learn, and to become better versions of ourselves. I invite all of you to visit my website at theselfcareclub.org to tap into our free resources that are designed just for you. Whether you are looking to elevate your self-care game or you just need a little motivation to get you through the day, know that we've got you covered. I thank each and every one of you for being a part of the Self-Care Club community. But until next time, you guys, I encourage you to keep breathing, stay positive, and remember that you will always be supported here at the Self-Care Club. Don't be afraid to take up space and make a little room for you to breathe. I pray that each and every one of you have an amazing day on purpose, filled with nothing but purpose. And I look forward to connecting with you all again soon. You can catch me Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we host our Room to Breathe podcast daily. And if you like the little toxic spin, join me on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
You deserve the love you're so free to give. It's time to prioritize the life you live. Call up life coach, let's make a plan. Let's get it right. Self-care is power, understand. Protect your peace, protect your space. You're the author, reclaim your place. It's a story. Flip the script, I'm choosing me. Prioritizing my mental clarity.